Welcome back to Church After Hours. This is episode 10, and we have a great guest set up for you guys. But before we get into that, we always talk about our most previous episode, which was episode 9 with our good brother DK, aka DeMarco Kid. Kurt, what was your thoughts about episode 9, man? The one that we just dropped.
Oh man, DeMarco had great energy. I think he embraced his holy roller, as he called it.
Right.
when we were back in the youth choir and going, but I enjoyed it. I'm sure everybody else did as well.
Absolutely. I thought it was a good one. Everybody's been waiting for Marco because, he was always one of the cats that was hanging out with us, always serious young brother. So it was good to hear him have an opportunity to share his thoughts and what youth choir and what, Lincoln Heights meant to him. Mm-hmm. But I'm not going to hold y'all. We have a very special guest we've been known for over 20 plus years. She was a part of the youth ministry. She was a part of youth choir. I remember her on all of our retreats and all the good fun times we had. And that's none other than Chef Nikki. What's going on, sis? How you doing?
What's up, y'all? How you feeling?
We doing good.
Good.
It's good. It's good to have you join us on this podcast, and it's good to have an opportunity to sit down and steal a little bit of your time. I know how busy you are, so we want to be very respectful of your time. But before we jump into our conversation, I don't know if you've had a chance to check out any of our podcasts. I know you've seen some of our clips. What do you think about this podcast and the things that we're doing, talking about our memories and reminiscing about our good old days in the 90s at Lincoln Heights Baptist?
Man, I like it because a lot of things that, kind of molded me and shaped me are tied into those memories. You know what I mean? Like how we conduct ourselves and, kind of how we move through life.
Right.
We had some good times. I mean, it was wild, but we had some good times.
We was. Absolutely. We was definitely wild. But we had a good time. And like you said, it helped us to be able to conduct ourselves as young adults and be able to, be great human beings that we are. I'll never forget about that foundation and those group of elders that was really pouring into us and, helping us reach our fullest potential.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just go ahead, Kurt.
Oh man, I want to say congratulations is a little late because she's been, a chef for the stars for a while now. But I love to say that, we're proud of you as far as, growing up in a church with you. Cincinnati is proud of you,
right?
For all the amazing things you're doing and the high profile things that you do as well.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That is something that I never even thought or saw myself doing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't leave Cincinnati thinking, I don't know. I just left Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I went to college. I went to school, and I wasn't thinking that I felt like I was gonna be somebody, but I didn't know what that somebody felt like or what that was gonna look like. So, I am happy that I'm in a good space for me in my career right now. So it works for me. Yeah.
That's dope.
Hey, and going back to the episode with Erica talking about hairstyles, I remember Nikki had the you know what I mean, the high in the back, and it came down with the two,
right.
with the two, you know what I mean? And
yeah, that was a little my version of T-Boz then.
Yeah, right, T-Boz. And she always has some uniqueness. I was thinking about the Janet Jackson video. I forget exactly when it was that she had the Native American looking jewelry.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I saw cowrie shell necklaces.
Right. So you was always unique.
Right.
Yeah. I definitely. I mean, I had a little. It was like the early Hotep days,
Right. That's real. That's real.
People don't realize, at the time, my mother was doing a lot of medical missionary work. My mother was with the Heights group, going to Haiti, going to all of those places. And so, my level of exposure to culture was pretty great at the time, especially, understanding, what it meant to be Black in America. I was always, not always trying to be like these white folks was holding us back, but I really was. I was up here on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was really trying to embody a certain level of expression. That's also around the same time I started being like freestyling and being in little hip hop groups and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
The ciphers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember that too. Yeah.
I was wearing Timberlands and polos with the cowrie shells.
Right.
Look, I don't know where I was from. I mean, I was from New York mixed with, we was all the coast in Cincinnati. We just
absolutely
together.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And that was the Midwest as a whole. We kind of pulled from the South, from the West, from the East, and created our own little special gumbo and our own little thing. But let's talk about when we first met you in Lincoln Heights. I believe my sister will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe I met you through my sister Candace because you guys are a little bit younger than us. And I remember when you first came to U Choir and you joined and you started being active and doing, different things that we were doing at that time. Talk about those formidable years and what those years meant to you and how it helped shape you into the dope human being you are today.
I'm trying to remember what age I came to Lincoln Heights. I mean, I had to have been around 8.
Okay.
Around 8 to 10, somewhere around there. And that was my first time having of course I've been going to church, but that was my first time having church family. Peers my age that we were not afraid to still be in church and still be kids.
Right. Right.
We were still upstairs in the balcony eating, you know what I'm saying? And having snacks and candy. But when I met your sister, I mean, we just became friends, and it was just she was just let me show you the way.
Yep.
And so she showed me the way, and amongst other girls that I met in church, we all kind of was okay, well this works, and I guess it kept me balanced. I definitely did not always want to go to church. You know how there are some Sundays we in there all day.
Right.
Yeah.
Then they talk about 2 services. What you saying right now?
Right. Which eventually turned to 3 because Reverend Pipers added a 1 o'clock service. So it was crazy.
I remember that. Yes.
Yes. I'm can we just pull up at the 1 o'clock? But I was dang, I might miss Eden Park if I go to 1 o'clock.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It was best to go to that middle service because he couldn't run over to it. It was all time. So
right.
It was all time. And also church became if my mom, if I wanted to go, if I wanted to date a guy or kind of talk to a guy, she'd be he needs to come to church with us. And I'm what?
Right.
Nice.
Right.
No, because there's other dudes at church I like, so we can't do that. We can't do that. But yeah, I mean, that was definitely, it gave me an early sense of camaraderie and
yes.
And this is my church family, but when I see you in the streets or when I see you at a basketball game or when I see you whenever, it's all good. So
it's love.
Right.
It's love.
No
I want to go back to something before I go to Kurt. And it is crazy. We're 10 episodes in and we haven't talked about this yet. And I kind of wasn't a part of it because I was the drummer and I didn't get a chance to kick it with y'all that much. But talk about the legendary Lincoln Heights balcony. Everybody know all the youth from 12 to 18 had their own section in the balcony. And if we wasn't singing or participating in service, the youth was there and I was always on the drums. So I missed it. Talk about those legendary moments up in the balcony, yo. Because it was classic.
Cutting up. You hear me?
It was lit. It was lit. Every time I had, even if I brought, because at some point we was just bringing friends to church because people was just I'll come to church with you just on I would bring my little cute homegirls. Everybody be yo, little friends, so we all up in church.
Yeah, we know. We'll check them for them. We'll check them.
We really go to Mount Zion, but she here with us.
Right.
But we would I would get in. There were moments when my mom knew. When I was going to sit up in the balcony, I was definitely not about to pay attention.
Right.
No. And then she would hit me with, "No, you sitting with me," and I'm "Oh, I'm sitting with the youth. Don't you want me to be communal with kids my age?"
Right.
She's "Nah, you sitting with me downstairs, the 3rd row." I'm I gotta. Nah, I can't nod off. I can't have my candy. I can't. You know what I'm saying? sneak games. I don't know what we were doing. We didn't have phones. You feel me?
No, exactly.
Right.
We didn't have phones. We was up there passing notes.
Yep.
Do you such and such?
Right. I used to be sitting down on the drums looking at y'all salty like, man, I wish I could be up there right now. You know what I'm saying?
Probably to you on the drums, it was like a day party upstairs. You downstairs on the drums.
Exactly.
On the drums, just trying to like, man, I hope after church everybody stick around so I can see.
Exactly.
No doubt.
Yeah, that was funny.
No
but go ahead, Kurt.
Beepers, you know,
sure.
we and the passing notes, we was definitely on that. And if you brought somebody to church, we was definitely checking in. Or a couple of us was, especially Barry. You know, Barry was
everybody. Barry was checking for everybody, but it's real talk. Girls was coming to church to see Barry.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember being in school and some girl asking me that, because at one point I transferred to Withrow. Dina transferred to Withrow.
She sure did.
There was a bunch of us there. And at one point somebody was like, y'all go to church with Barry? And I was like, yes. And they was like, oh, what service y'all me going to? I'm like,
oh, wait till he hear this.
He gonna love this.
No.
He gonna love this.
I'm like, girls and Barry used to get on my nerves. I'd be like, look at this Negro.
Right.
I was just like, he not the only dude.
Right.
But they used to lose their mind.
Yeah. Well, he was the only one that was more so outgoing.
Yes.
You know,
yeah.
Couple
him
of us.
Mom. Him and his
yeah,
mom.
you're right.
At the
You're
time.
right. Mm-hmm.
Love Miss O'Connor. Right, shout out to Miss O'Connor. Well, let's take a pause for the calls, man. I don't know if y'all got y'all fun stories ready, because that's one thing we do here. We always have a fun story. So I got a good one today. We're going to do Sinners and Saints. And this involves me and my brother. I'm not going to throw none of my other brothers under the bus. Well, as y'all know.
All right.
even though I could implicate you in this one, but I'm not.
I'm here, man. Go ahead.
Because we all benefited
with
from
all
it.
the smoke.
So when I was in high school, I worked at Toyota pretty much like almost every year except for my sophomore year. Well, my brother worked at Dillard's in Tri-County Mall.
No, leave me out of that one. Leave me out of that one.
You already know where this is going. So my brother worked at Dillard's in Tri-County Mall, and they had him in the shipping and receiving. So anytime they got new clothes in, him and his homeboy was going through them and putting them out so they can get ready to go on the floor. So my brother had been doing this job for a couple months, and then him and his dude figured out a way that they could take some items without them being missed. And I was the getaway driver. Once again, in the black Camry, my brother was like, look, I got like 3 boxes. I would come up at least twice a week and come up and get like 2-3 boxes. And of course, we would go through them. I got the XLs, he got the larges, and Kurt got like the mediums, and then everything else we would like sell. You know what I'm saying? And this went on for like literally almost a year. And then one time we started getting greedy, and we brought in the preacher's kid, and he ain't gonna be mad, but he'll think this is funny that I mentioned him. We brought in Marcus Langford. Shout out to
Marcus Langford.
Shout out to Reverend Michael Langford, my OG. So my brother's like, look, I got a big shipment today, and we ain't gonna be able to fit everything in the Camry. So I went, got Marcus. I have my parents' Camry. I think Reverend Langford and them had like a Volvo or something. He behind me. My brother put in like 6-7 boxes. We go back to the crib. Like, man, we had every brand new Nautica, Polo, Tommy, everything, man. So this went on for like a year, and then my brother finally quit. And like 2 weeks after he quit, the dude that he was working with got popped. And it was all bad. So just to show y'all, man, like we was church kids, but we was still out here wilding out and doing stuff we wasn't supposed to be doing. And I still got Polo and Tommy Hilfiger stuff that I got back from back then, and I probably maybe wore once or twice. We had so much stuff, it was crazy.
My story might be better than yours.
Okay. Okay. Well, hey, you can just go ahead and jump into it.
But I don't know Kurt wants to go. Like, I don't know who wants to go first.
Since he implicated me in that situation, I'm just gonna let you go. I plead the fifth.
I'm definitely not gonna implicate anybody at New Salem, but it was a couple in on it. I was working at Kenwood Mall at Eddie Bauer.
Wow.
All right, and thank God the statute of limitations, it's got to have passed.
They up. It was over 25 years. It's up.
Oh, perfect. Anyway, I've actually told my kids this story, so I'm not afraid to tell this story. This just shows growth.
Right.
Anyway, working at Eddie Bauer, this is when, and I was like, like just kind of like a little fashion head for the moment, like I was into like Eddie Bauer had all the reflector stuff, you know what I mean, and all the like puffy vests, that whole setup. But I had quite a few friends that worked in the mall, worked at Just for Feet, worked at Foot Locker, worked at the Levi's store, worked at you remember Ruben?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Ruben worked at Lazarus.
Wow.
Because it was still Lazarus at the time, and one of my other homies worked at Overland, because that's where we was getting Wallabies, Tim's, all those. Anyway, leave it up to me. I created like just this little quiet little theft ring.
She said theft ring. I love it.
I mean, it was an operation.
Right.
It was an operation because what I figured out, this is when they were printing entire credit card numbers on receipts.
Oh.
Remember that?
Yes.
Remember that? Sorry, my camera keeps moving because I'm sitting in this loungy chair.
It's all good.
You good.
Story is heating up. It's all good.
So this is when they used to print all the credit card numbers on the receipts. So I was just like, also, if your credit card would not swipe, we had the number. We can punch the number, but we had the like carbon copy thing.
Right.
And mind you, Cass was only making like $5.75 an hour for shirts. It wasn't nothing crazy. And so I'm like, there's got to be something here. So I was like, I went to my friend over and I was like, I want to try something. Here's a credit card. I had like an old credit card that somebody had left by the store. It was already like canceled. And I put the other credit card number really small on, like, I took a tiny piece of paper and put it really small on the back. And so when they would swipe it, for sure, I knew it wasn't going to work. I was like, just punch the number in. And they would punch the number in of a different credit card number, and then it would cash out. All right, so we ran it up. Like, I had the Bo Jacksons, I had everything I wanted. I had Columbia coats, I had Nautica coats, I had shorts, pants, polos, all the jeans I wanted. Wow. I was laced. Like,
I know you was. Yes, you were.
We would just take turns. I would come to your store, get what I need. You come to my store, get what you need, and we would just bounce around other stores, right? I was like flex on everybody, pulling out. I had the orange and blue Columbia. The wild thing is, my daughter wears it now. She wears it now because it's vintage. It's
right.
Yes.
But I had that, and I remember I came home and my mom was like, "Man, you over here? We got some nice little things." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm working and everything." So she was like, "Girl, working is not paying for all of this.
Right.
I know that you barely making $150 a week or something like that." And I was like, "But my dad gave me money, you know what I'm saying? Like this, that, and the third." So one day when I wasn't home or in the bathroom or something, my mom went under my bed where I had all of the clothing. And she saw bags and she saw receipts. Like, who's paying for these stuff? And I was just like, I told you, my dad. I didn't live with my dad. My dad lived in Columbus.
That's my guy.
So my dad's like, "What is this your mama calling me about? Talking about you got a bunch of clothes." And I was like, "I don't know. She tripping. Just say you gave me some money." My dad like, "Oh, you want some other stuff." So next thing you know, I had to kind of give my mom a little tidbit of like something. But basically, she's like, so you stole these?" And I was like, that's very direct. I wouldn't say stole. I would say these white people don't need this. They don't need all this.
Yes.
Oh, that is hilarious.
But my mother, being the Christian woman that she is, took me down to the police station to turn myself in.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow.
She took me into the police station to turn myself in, and I'm sitting there, and I think this might have been my junior year of high school. I'm sitting there at the police station, like with bags of clothes. And they're like, oh, well, thanks. Yeah, we didn't know this was coming. Like, and they all over here like, well, tell us more. We didn't know this crime was happening.
Wow.
And so they're like interrogating me because they want names. They want all of this stuff. And I'm like, nah, nothing. So because I went to Withrow, I could get away with like miscellaneous kid names.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I said they all go to school with me, and they didn't. It really was. Cass was at Walnut Hills, Purcell. It was at
all over.
Ursula, Winwoods. Everybody was everywhere, and and then I just gave them some names and told them, you know, somebody else was ahead of it, and they made me do it. So, because they were starting to threaten my college career and stuff, I was like, I did not come in here for all this.
Wow.
You accepted into college. Did you want it? You want a scholarship? And military won't take you. I was like, dang, y'all acting like I'm out here got a RICO or something. Like,
not a RICO.
Not that serious. And so, yeah, moving forward, I definitely hid some things back because I was not giving them Tim's back, and I was not. And it was a few things. It was just a few things I just kind of held up, you know, held back and put them in closets in my friend's house. And I still have a few, like I said, today. But that was probably my first, you know, criminal organized gang-related activity.
That is classy. You talking about Sinners and Saints story. Wow.
After all, I mean, between my mom knew I was wild. That's why she kept pushing me up to the altar. She really did. She was like, you know, that hand on the small of your back when that last won't you come?
Right. Get up there.
Get up there.
Hey, I got two things. Your mom was a real Christian.
Right.
A real one. And two, I was gonna say at some point, man, Nikki was always a little on the quiet side.
Them the ones you gotta watch though. You know what I'm saying? Boy. Them the ones you gotta watch. She was definitely quiet.
I was quiet. I was quiet, but I'm always very calculated.
Yes. I can definitely always see that. So before we end, I want to talk about what you're doing now. Kurt alluded to some of the things you're doing now. Chef to the Stars, people you're working with. Talk about your career and the things that you're doing, and the way you do it brings joy, because like I always tell my friends and the young people I work with, I'm an assistant director at a youth center. And I was like, when my friends win, I feel like it's my win as well. So when we see you out doing your thing, we celebrate you, we're proud of you. Talk about some of the things you're doing and you know, how you got into the field you're in and what it's like doing what you do, because it looks like you just always having fun. It never looks like you're working hard or doing anything, but it just always seems like you're enjoying what you're doing. So talk about that a little bit before we close.
Man, okay, so what am I doing is such a long-winded question and answer, for real, because it's definitely gonna be some folks that be like, oh, I don't know if that's holy, but however,
no, it's an after hours part.
Yeah, this is the church after hours. So yeah,
go ahead.
It is. Well, I'm gonna tell you what it is, because God created all things, and cannabis is one of them.
Absolutely.
And so prior to, like, my career path has went from, I studied pharmaceutical sciences at Ohio State. So, like, you know, part of my quiet nature was just like, I kind of was a low-key nerd, you know, like, and I like understanding and exploring, and I'm very curious, and I want to, you know, kind of understand like how the body works and things like that. So I went into biology pre-med, but ended up going through the pharmacy program and worked for CVS, like worked in compounding drugs, and also did some pharmaceutical sales and things like that. And then I said, this is definitely not very fulfilling for me.
Right.
And I felt like my life needed more human interaction and more visually pleasing things. Basically, I just need to be outside, you know, and to enjoy the earth and the world. I left that position in pharmacy and went into just understanding food. Like creating food and cooking is a huge pastime for me. It's a huge hobby, and it has always been. I was hustling in college making cheesecakes. I was infusing them with alcohol then, like Kahlua and Bailey's, and I was selling $40 cheesecakes in 1998.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
Man, I feel like I remember this hearing about this for some reason.
Yeah, I was doing all of those things. I was making them at, you know, like when I left the dorm, like by sophomore year, I'm in an apartment. And, you know, like, I don't know, too many sophomores in college just over here, like, you can pick your cheesecake up tomorrow.
Right. Right.
That was so, I started off that, and I also was making plates. You know what I'm saying? I'm doing spaghetti. It's Ohio State football. All those dudes were my friends anyway, because I was doing their hair because I had locks. I used to twist their hair, and then I would make food. I was frying fish, doing spaghetti. I was whatever. So
ultimate hustler.
Yeah,
right.
I just like cooking, and I'm also at AKA. So in college, I was always the one making meals for like all my line sisters and doing stuff like that. And so they're the ones that encouraged me to go into food. Like, I was hosting dinner parties every Sunday at my house.
Wow.
Just with like homegirls. And I would change the theme every Sunday. And then somebody was like, can you cater like something for me? And I was like, I guess I've never done that. And so, boom, I did it. And then I was like, actually, I kind of like it here. Let me work to study and advance my like knowledge. Because one thing is to know how to cook. Like, if you know how to cook, you know how to cook.
Right.
It's a feeling, it's an energy.
Sure.
But do you know how to cook for technique and to create, you know, interesting, stunning things? And like, there's certain levels. There's cooking to eat. There's cooking to survive. There's cooking to make money. There's cooking, like, there's all levels. And so I wanted to enhance that. So I traveled around the country working with other chefs that have been nominated for Michelin stars, James Beard Awards. I traveled all through internationally. I did my culinary studies in Thailand. Like, I studied a lot of different places just so I can understand flavor profiles and, you know, how, like, I'm more energy based in food. So like, I want you to have, like, you know, Black people love to dance when we eat.
Right.
We bite something and we be like, ooh, this was good.
Right.
That, but I want to invoke that in everyone.
You
know what I mean? So I just challenged myself in that way. And then eventually I came to, okay, cool, I got a catering business. Cool, I'm an executive chef at a restaurant. Cool, I'm, you know, like, I'm doing all of these things. I can do private chef services, but where is there a part of where I can elevate here? Where can I find a void that I can fill? And that void was in celebrity services, like events and food services. I do have a small little like conduit into the space because I have my aunt is in PR. So she has been in entertainment PR since I was a little girl. So she has always exposed me to like being with talent and understanding like how to move. You feel me? And so she gave me some very interesting points on how to conduct business. So I was like, all right, bet, let me get into this celebrity space. And then eventually I just started getting calls. I tell people I have not once advertised my business. Not once.
Blessings.
For real.
Yeah. I've never done any marketing. I've never done a commercial. I've never done a sponsored ad. And like, once you get the nod of one person, it's just a trickle down effect. I mean, Dave Chappelle is a pretty solid person to recommend you for something.
Right. Yeah.
Like Snoop Dogg is a solid person to recommend you for something.
Yeah, he got his hand in everything.
Yeah, it just became this like, okay, this is a cool ass space. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm over here. I mean, I never know who's gonna be at Dave's house. You feel me? I never know who's gonna be at Dave's house. So I'm like, oh, okay, what's up, Naomi Campbell? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just some of the most random occurrences. And then I'll get calls. I got called to go on tour with DJ Khaled. So I went on tour with DJ Khaled and Kehlani and Demi Lovato for a while. And then I did a small tour with the Migos. But then I also get brand tours like Martell, different other like liquor brands and food brands and clothing brands. So I get attached to a lot of brand deals and different things like that. So that is one part of my job.
Right.
And that is a part that, like, you know, we just did Kevin Hart's, we just did
I saw that. Netflix is a joke. I saw that.
Joke hosted by Kevin Hart. And that is an immense job. It was almost 400 people in Hollywood, 400 premium people.
Yeah.
Like, everyone that has a Netflix like comedy series, people that have different specials and things like that. And I can't explain to people who are like, I just want to do what you do. And I'm like, bro, if you could oh my God. It's not there's a part of my job that just is not fun. And then there's a part of my job that I love it, but the part that I love outweighs the not fun. The not fun is just people being difficult.
Right.
And people being Hollywood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And people also be like, why you still live in Ohio? I be like, I don't know, because I don't be wanting to deal with y'all types all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, so that's one part of my job. The other part of my career is I have created an entire brand and persona in the cannabis space. So I literally took what I learned in pharmacy and what I know in food and merged them into a brand and an upcoming product. But right now, I'm a leading figure in an icon in the cannabis space when it comes to culinary and in cannabis. So that was something that, you know, like, I definitely developed like what that looks like, and I'm setting the tone and the kind of like the protocol for how people are handled. Like, people don't understand what a talent means in cannabis unless you Wiz Khalifa.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, you know, I started hitting them hard with like, no, I have expertise. I have knowledge. You can't have me just do things for free. And so now people are amazed. I'm just getting paid to show up. I'm getting paid to speak. I am the first person coming up here in July, the first person in history to ever do anything cannabis related at Essence Fest.
Wow.
Nice.
That's huge.
Nice.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this, Nikki. So, which, not to cut your knowledge, but so with your pharmaceutical background, that has to put you in a major advantage versus other people that's in that space because of the knowledge that you have with certain drugs and how these things affect the body and how you can infuse it in food and how it's going to make people react. Talk about that, because that, to me, you know, that kind of taps into my inner nerd wanting to learn how, you know, these things are going to affect us once we ingest them.
Let's think about, and let's just have a moment of transparency. Have you ever had an edible?
Yes. 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 Absolutely.
Yes.
All right. We after hours.
We after hours. Absolutely.
And so, have you ever had an edible that somebody made?
Yes.
Right? And like, have you ever had an edible that just tore you up?
Yes.
Yes. Oh my God.
Kurt's
oh my Lord, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now you see why it's important for somebody to know what they're doing, because when you have an edible that is dosed too high, the experience goes from, I was just trying to have a chill night and be high and be vibing, to OMG, they might have to call the squad. You know? Right. Like, it could go so many ways, and everybody's body chemistry is completely different.
Right.
When you're trying to understand what the endocannabinoid system is,
there we go.
We are all born with that system. right? But what happens is cannabis has their own endocannabinoid system. And so like when you're having THC levels enter into your body and via your like through your liver and through your bloodstream, those THC levels can permeate your system at a faster, like more accelerated rate than smoking. And so if you're not dosing it correctly, I always tell people you have to start lower before you go higher. Like I can take a 100 milligram edible and be sitting over here and having this conversation with you on a podcast regularly. Like I'm high all the time. Like all the time. But I'm not normal. Okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I have to keep that in mind for a demographic of people that I'm speaking to and I'm servicing as consumers. Right. That everyone's body chemistry is better for you to start lower and then gradually increase to your comfortability. And so when you have someone that is making an edible from actual flower, like the cannabis flower. So the old school way, you take the flower, you put it in an oil carrier, whether it's butter, olive oil, coconut oil, this and the third, and you decarboxylate it, means you just slowly remove the THC into the lipids, into that oil. Once you move it into that oil, the oil holds that. You transfer that oil into whatever you're making. Say you're making brownies. That's the typical thing that people always want to make.
Always brownie, yeah.
They always want to make brownies. So you get the brownie mix. Brownie mix calls for usually like a stick of butter, right? So the one stick of butter in the brownie mix is 4 ounces. All right, so you like, bet I'm just gonna put 4 ounces of butter in there, of the cannabis butter, not realizing that 4 ounces of cannabis butter is not, it's too much.
Right.
Because it's too much because you don't even know what the potency of your actual flour is, the nugs. If you knew that potency, that you could better dose the butter. But as a rule of thumb, if it calls for a stick of butter, you only put a quarter of a stick of cannabis butter in there, and the rest regular butter. But a lot of people don't think that. They just like, boo, 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 boo. We gonna be lit. You know, like all of that.
You really gonna be lit.
And you're really gonna be lit. So I'm just trying to really focus and teach people, like, this experience is completely necessary. It's completely enjoyable. I want everybody to have Chef Nikki products in their kitchens at some point.
Yeah.
Like, my goal is for sure to be the Martha Stewart of cannabis when it comes to food, like savory things and cooking. But getting you to the point where it's soft and subtle and not like you're not having a whole like take me to the king moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, but that part is very pivotal for me, because I know that I'm the person that a lot of chefs are looking to that's leading this space.
Nice.
I got a lot of Black people that look to me because they like, dang, we didn't even know you was doing it like that. I'm like, yeah, because I have to speak a different language out here. I have to understand, how to code switch. A lot of switching.
Yes.
I have to deal with everybody from the top, and I still got to deal with the streets.
Right.
Like, the streets is always gonna love me. I don't know about them, but the white boys love me because I make them cool.
Right.
And that's really where
you validate them.
I validate them. Yeah, I validate them. So that's just been where my little life is. But we have a lot coming up. I mean, we have our first event in Africa. South Africa has legalized recreational cannabis. So we're doing our first event in September in Africa, Johannesburg and Cape Town. Wow. And then we got asked to come back to do another event in Ghana in December. And then we'll have tons of other countries. The USA is the only country that is not like legalizing federally, and it's going jurisdictionally.
Right.
Yeah, every other country.
And we have the most incarcerated as well. They're making money off of it. So
there you have it.
Figure.
Yeah. Making so much money off of it. So I'm very passionate about cannabis. I'm very passionate about plant medicine, about mushrooms, and all of those things, and changing people's minds and perceptions on plant medicine, because this is the medicine that has been here.
Right.
Yes.
And it's gonna be here when we go.
It's gonna be here. It was here way before us and after us. But these are single source origin plants. If I'm able to take something out of the ground, consume it as its one natural source, and receive healing from that, that should never be criminalized.
Right.
What is synthesized? All the medication that you take, Tylenol, ibuprofen, all the prescription medication, all the opioids, all this stuff, can be synthesized. So our ideas have been conditioned of what makes sense for our rights to heal our bodies.
And you know what, Nikki? I'm glad you said that, because if I say that, then I'm just somebody that's just talking. You went to school when you studied this stuff, so you know the effects that stuff can have on the body versus the plant medicine. So you validate that to a level that somebody like myself or Kurt or anybody else just can't validate, because you have the training. And you know, our people, they need to see those certificates behind your names and those letters behind your name to kind of validate what you're saying. So I'm glad you was able to break it down like that for people to understand.
I appreciate that. And I want us to one day get out of that, because and that's why I'm happy to be speaking at the Essence Fest, because that's the largest amount of Black folks I've spoken to one time. And I'm on stage cooking with Questlove talking about cannabis. And like, I want people to understand, like, I still get calls from people's aunties saying, now I'm not trying to get high off this CBD. Now, what is this? Right. Now, the same mother that turned me in,
stupid.
That same mother that turned me in loves her edibles.
Wow. Look at God. Look at God.
Yes.
Both of my parents, I'm like, if y'all don't get some weed in your life, and then also mushrooms. Mushrooms are fantastic when it comes to your mental health and your balance. Even microdosing mushrooms.
Wow.
Tell people over psychotropics, over like your medicines for like depression, anxiety, like Paxil, all of those things, to take mushrooms to replace those things and micro amounts. You don't have to do a macro amount. I do the macro amounts because I'm a space cadet. I enjoy going there, but I do micro amounts to manage and balance mental health. Like, I have a lot of stress and anxiety in my job.
Right.
They crazy. They're crazy out there.
Yeah.
Right? And so microdosing has helped me manage. Even microdosing with my mother, like, it helps cognitively rebuild neuroplasticity. When you have aging parents are suffering from dementia. My mother's not suffering from dementia, but she is aging.
Wow.
I mean, so like all of our parents, there's a moment cognitively where if your parents are older and they get alone, or like mushrooms to help, they be out. My mom be out there just living. She told me, she's like, I stopped drinking energy drinks. I was like, why were you drinking them in the first place?
Right.
You know what I mean?
They fry your adrenal glands. I tell people to leave them energy drinks alone.
But I do have a goal of really helping us as Black and brown people change our mindsets about how we heal. Because our mental health is compromised daily.
Yes.
Like, our mental health as being Black y'all being Black men in America, it sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks. Like, you just don't know what, like clearly we can't even go to the grocery store. I live at the grocery store.
Right. That's what you do for a living.
I live at the store. If somebody come in, Whole Foods, you know what I'm saying, Sam's Club, Trader Joe's, like, I'll be there all the time.
Right.
And so, like, I'm always trying to just tell people that all the anxieties we have, even the family traumas that we have, because we don't talk to each other enough.
Yep.
We sit down as a family and we do mushrooms and we talk and we heal and we reset and we go on.
I gotta ask you about this, and I'm sorry, Kurt, I'm hogging the questions, but since we here, Let's just stay here.
You're not even a smoker.
I know.
Go ahead,
I stopped smoking. I stopped smoking a while ago, but I'm an advocate for it for those that do. I don't look down on people. Talk about ayahuasca. We've been hearing a lot about ayahuasca. I heard about it about 15 years ago. And now with people like Will Smith, you see people going to South America, certain parts of Central America, and partaking in it. Talk about ayahuasca and how that plant medicine is helpful, especially for people that may have some traumas and, different things and ailments that they've had to deal with throughout their lives.
All right, well, Will Smith needs more. Will Smith needs more ayahuasca ceremonies. All right, well, I mean, Aya is a real thing. I've done ayahuasca.
Right, I'm sure you have. That's why I asked.
There's a lot of plant medicines.
Yes.
Ayahuasca happens to be one of the most popular ones.
Right.
Because it is more like, it's been made a lot more trendy by white professionals.
Right.
Yeah. Mushrooms too, that like, it's always cooler when they're doing it versus if we start doing it, they're like, voodoo, drugs, what is that? Like,
right.
But ayahuasca goes in, it's one of those things that kind of strips you nudity. It just strips you. It's just a hard reset. There's other plant medicines that do similar things, but like ayahuasca, you have to be in a ceremony.
Right.
You also have to be in a place with curanderos or shaman that is watching over you. And also to be clear, I always like to explain to people, like, curanderos and shamans, it doesn't have a stipulation of like actual religion. Right.
Absolutely.
I always try to tell people this is not, I mean, there's shamans and other like actual like voodoo shamans and things like this. They exist. Right. In these type of things, this is a level of spirituality that is not meant to interfere with whatever your walk is. Mm-hmm. It's just meant to bring you clearer understanding of self. And so I always try to explain that to people when they're like, oh no, down there in the jungles, because it is a South American like of origin plant. Right. You know what I mean? And it's something that was sacredly used by different tribes and cultures before we found out about it. Right. So in that ceremony, of course, there's usually like it's made into a drink. Right. Ayahuasca. And you get into ceremonies a couple different ways. Some ways you can get into it with pape. Pape is a tobacco snuff. Right. So you take it's like a little thing that goes like here in your nose, right? And then usually there's a person on the other side hitting the snuff up your nose. And it completely opens up your pineal gland, which is what you believe your third eye. Third eye. Yeah. So it completely opens up that space. And then you can get into your ayahuasca journey. Most of the time they can last ceremonies 3 days. Yeah. I did not do a 3-day ceremony. I did like a 1.5 day. I did like a little abbreviated one because you also have to be on a dieta before. So you have to eat a certain way. Right. You have to make sure that your body is prepared for that type of like push. Yeah. Because you will be vomiting, you will be throwing up. Another thing like similar to ayahuasca that it doesn't have as much like profound resetting of the mind, but it has resetting of your body, which is called kambo. Kambo is a Amazonian tree frog, and so that sap is removed from that frog and then it's burned into your skin as thermogenic. So I had kambo at the beginning of the pandemic, to be honest with you, because I was like, I'm gonna make sure that my body is fully protected, like my immune system. So the kambo, so I have like burn marks on my arms and on my back, little circles. And so that like literally strips and hard resets your entire system. Wow. So if you have any impurities, and things like that. And then this is for like medical and balance, self-care reasons. But yeah, ayahuasca is a good one. I've also done wachuma. That's another. It's a cactus. So you have these families of indigens. You have cactus.
Right.
You have mushrooms. You have plants and flowers. But wachuma.
What about cacao? Because Dr. Latham, who's an elder of mine, I've went on his retreats before. He's a fruitarian, so he sticks with the cacao. Talk about cacao if you don't mind.
Cacao ceremonies go hand in hand with ayahuasca, go hand in hand with wachuma or high dose mushroom ceremonies or combo, things like that. Cacao is ceremonially like one of those things that is often used. It's not like a super psychedelic though.
Right. That's what he said.
Yeah, you're not gonna and it doesn't taste like chocolate.
Right. That's what he said.
People be thinking you about to get this little chocolate milkshake and be like, nah, that shit is not good.
Right. That's exactly what he said.
It tastes okay. It's not bad. I mean, it tastes like a flavored protein shake.
Protein bar or something, yeah.
Mm-hmm, with no sugar in there.
Right.
But yeah, cacao has often just been used ceremonially as necessary. A lot of people also use it to balance like the alkaline levels of, when you're mixing in other plant medicines. Most of the time when you have these ceremonies, you're combining more than one plant medicine. Like when I did my combo, you would combine hape, sananga. Sananga is another thing that they use you put in your eyes. I mean, definitely burns for a second, but it offers a level of visual clarity. So yeah, and in the cactus, there's peyote, there's wachuma, like all of those things. Wachuma is nicknamed San Pedro, but my boyfriend and I, we were in Mexico, and we did that. Oh man, that was a wild one because we were like, oh yeah, we should be okay to drive back. No, I mean, it's like being on acid. I don't know if either of you have had acid, but yeah, sorry. I mean, I do a lot of drug podcasts, so I could talk about all drugs.
So you're hallucinating then.
You can, yes, you definitely hallucinate more so on acid, faster. But yeah, I mean, I always look, acid is from wheat. It is also of a plant. It is from fermented ergot wheat. And so you take that and you synthesize it and make it into lysergic acid. So you have that like compound. But again, anything that's from a plant, I'm gonna try it.
Right.
I mean, except for opium is from a plant. I'm not interested in, having synthesized opium, but things that I know that are healing.
Right. That have those healing modalities.
Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, I feel like I like to make myself my own guinea pig because I do exist in these alternate universes.
Right.
Because they actually help me see life better. And there are moments where I just be like, this isn't real. Even though it's in front of me, I'd be like,
right.
Let me just check back into the matrix and go in the other door because this is whack.
Right.
So
yes.
I just kind of rearranged my thoughts. So that's why when I was being quiet, I was trying to figure out my life path.
Wow.
I really was. I've gone through, I feel like I've lived several iterations of this life.
Wow.
And you have as well as the rest of us. And I love what you just said there. With so much going on these days, people don't know how to be quiet and receive information from the ancestors.
They don't.
And if y'all watching this, and if you are that person that gets uncomfortable with silence,
right?
Think about that. When you talking, you can't hear.
Right.
You know what I mean?
When you talking, you cannot hear. That is so important. I'm always you talking loud, but you ain't saying
nothing.
Yeah, I can be in conversations I'm in so many conversations with people. They like to lock me in a conversation all the time. Anyway.
Yes.
My boyfriend, you just don't know how to say hi and keep it moving. I'm like,
right.
I know. Right. But like I hear people, I'm like, but what are you actually saying? What are you actually saying? But being still has made me respect all of the things that have been done before I got here. Because, and also my journeys in plant medicine have helped me respect really what my grandparents were trying to do and what they did, what their parents did, with their parents, with all those aunties, all those ancestors and generations before that was busting their ass.
Yes.
For me to be here, like that gives me like I remember being reminded in my like practice of like meditation and understanding I wasn't expressing enough gratitude towards my ancestors. And I know that I am this person because of my grandfather. Me and him born on the same day.
Wow.
Me and him born on the same day. And my grandfather's energy lives so much in me because it lives through my dad and it lives through, like, they're all very hard workers.
Yeah.
You know my dad.
That's my dad. He did work. He did work when I bought this house. That's my guy. I love your pops.
Look, you probably can't see it, but right above me are my grandparents' parents. Can you see that? I don't know if you can see that.
Yes, I see it now. There. Yes, it's a
like I have all my ancestors around me right here.
Yeah.
Grandfather's grandfather.
Wow.
Nice.
But I intentionally surround, I have like a little altar just with all the pictures of all the people that have left this. You know what I mean? But like that's important for me to remind myself, where am I going? What is my legacy? What am I doing here?
Right.
Because there's a point where we just be sitting around like, what am I leaving behind? What impact will I have for my generations, 15 generations from now?
Yep.
If you look at your kids, you be like, one day they're going to have grandkids.
Right.
One day they're going to have grandkids. What are they going to say about me?
Right.
I'm not overly concerned about the small particular details that my kids may tell. like just silly stuff. But I want my daughters to understand that I did my best to lay down generational wealth for them.
Right.
I did my best to clear out any like trauma.
Yes.
Any like residual like generational curses and things like that we're plagued with. That's why I go deep into the plant medicine to do that work. And I tell my mom all the time, when I told her, I was just like, one day, you know my aunt. I have an aunt. You know my aunt that went to Lincoln Heights. Aunt Claudia.
Yes.
He hates what I do. Absolutely hates it.
I'm not surprised.
But one day I told my mom, I was just like, y'all don't know what God's work looks like if it's not in church.
Say that again. Play that back. Play that black. Rewind that. Bring that back.
I said, y'all don't know what God's work looks like if it's not in church.
Boy.
And it's a lot of us out here doing that. It just looks different to you.
Yes.
I know I have been tasked with a healing, but I don't call myself a healer. Like, I'm not going out laying hands on people, but I am giving people access and getting them to understand access. But we just have to look at things differently. And so I do spend a lot of my time retraining minds.
Wow. That's beautiful. Hey, we can leave it right there, Curry. I'll let you have the last minute. I'm the last.
I want to say something now. When I jump into editing this, I know when Nikki was talking, it was some things messing up, but them Am sisters was trying to get a word in. You know what I mean?
Right.
And it all came out. And I want to direct everybody to a book called Black Fortunes. In there they talk about a lot of us when we came out of the fields. Catering was one of our number one businesses. Myself and my wife own and operate a restaurant. Right. Matter of fact, I'm about to run there right now as soon as we get off here. And secondly, Nikki, I want to see one of these We need one of these from you.
It's already being worked on.
Yes,
Great,
we need
great.
that. We need that. Yes.
It's not gonna look just like that, but yes. Now I was on the phone with my literary agency for 2 hours yesterday.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So yeah, it's gonna be like a real
Cookbook.
like book. It's more like a memoir. Like as my agent called it, a manifesto. I was like,
that's nice. I like that. I like that.
But it's more like, hey, I'm starting at an origin point of who am I? Like, why am I like this? But I take you through these stories just like I took you through this story.
Right.
And then I just interweave recipes in there. I just drop them in there periodically.
I like that.
So you're gonna get more stories, and you're gonna get more like understanding. And people always want to know, like, what happens, with all the celebrities and this, that, and the third. So I'll give you a little bit of that, and I'll give you my ancestry, but I'll also give you science.
There we go.
Yeah, and I'll give you a little bit of business because, man, I have fallen and hit my head so many times. Especially owning a restaurant, overhead stuff. Like returns, like being in food business, it's tough sometimes. It's expensive.
Yeah, it is.
It's expensive, and people want to get paid more.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'm like, well, how are we gonna compromise? So,
Right.
especially right now. Even more so right now. Yeah, I want to end this by saying thank you, sister.
Thank you
for dropping this knowledge. Thank you for this interview for Church After Hours, but in advance for the people that's going to listen to this.
Right.
Because this needs to be heard.
Yep.
This is what's need to be heard.
You so welcome. I mean, we could do a reunion retreat. What's up?
That's what I got my sister and Erica. We
our manager.
We working on that right now.
Erica. You know Erica.
I know, of course I know Erica.
EJ.
And you know what, D, right now, we need to understand, these are the women speaking.
Yes.
She done said that already before, and we was like, these are the women speaking. Yeah. It's time, man. In Cincinnati, pop your collar.
Right.
Because we got the the chef of the stars on.
Right.
And she from Cincinnati.
And not only is she the chef of the stars, she's the chef of the stars, and she's tapped and locked in, which to me is way more important. You know what I'm saying? Than just cooking food for famous people, for real.
Yes. For real. And when she tapped and locked in, what you talking about, D?
Our ancestors and ourselves. Exactly. Absolutely.
And when we get into second season of Church After Hours, these conversations is gonna be the norm.
And we gonna lose some people, but it's okay. They'll be all right.
Yeah. Everybody can't come.
Everybody can't come.
Hey, just like some people left Lincoln Heights. It just happens.
There it is. Ain't no better way to close the episode than close it right there.
Hey. My mama is Zion Global, and my mom, I follow her.
Hey, my parents is Zion Global too, and some of their friends stayed and didn't follow them, so I already know.
You already know.
Hey, we out. Peace and blessings. Episode 10, Church After Hours.
Church After Hours.